Folks, welcome to a brand new episode of Fitpod, and today it's all about mental health. In the studio with me today is Nazim Udin, who has suffered from mental health, who has managed to find ways for himself to prevent problems happening again in future. Now he's going to share his story and what he does to prevent further issues. Now it's one of those ones that everyone has their own ways of looking after themselves, and he's going to tell us about his story and what he does to prevent any problems in his current life, future, and what actually caused this whole problem, what he was going through. And he's kindly come on to the show to help people who are going through a similar problem and what he's doing to prevent it and what you can do to prevent it as well. So Nizam, thank you very much, first of all, for coming, taking your time out, driving down. Thank you, bro.
No, man, it's all good, man. Thank you for inviting me.
Now, I've been trying to do this for a very long time now, since I've actually started the whole podcast, and I haven't come across the right person to kind of discuss this matter, because especially in the Asian community, Asian men, South Asian men, they don't like to talk about it. Now, I don't know why. Maybe it's less manly, but they seem to kind of live with the problem, and it just becomes too much one day and boom, lights off. So rather than, going through all of that and taking your loved ones through that, wouldn't it be easier to talk about it to, okay, maybe not everyone, but to your wife or your father, your mother, children? Don't you think that would help prevent such a tragedy?
Yeah. No, I fully agree. The thing is, with the whole things in life, the best way of dealing with situation is talking about it. But that's the kind of thing that as men we struggle with, and it's not really because we're not able to talk. We're very able to talk.
Yeah.
There's a lot of various, but personally, the most common denominator is when you're from a young age, young men are taught to be silent. So when it comes to the moment they need to speak, they struggle to do that. Because what's the one thing that a lot of men struggle to do? Is express their emotions. It's not because they're not capable, it's because they never really learned how to do so. So as you get older, passage of time, the expectation on men, you gotta do this, do that. Whenever something bad happens to a guy, we're just told to bottle it up and just push onwards. Which, sure, objectively sounds like a right thing to say. But if you keep doing that time and time again, it's like keeping a dog caged up all its life. It's going to be angry when the moment it comes out.
Yeah.
So talking is the best way of approaching it. But the truth of the matter is, the issue isn't talking about it. The issue is, will it be accepted? Will it be, if a man spoke to its family, to their family members, wife, the question is, will they be heard? Mm-hmm. Because that's the issue. Well, am I going to be heard, or is another argument going to start?
Or would it be how it would be taken?
Yeah.
With the fellow men that you're around, or within the family. Like, how's that even possible? You're a man, deal with it.
Yeah, it's like you come up with the word depression, right? The moment someone hears the word depression, they want to back away. It's like one of the worst things as a man to hear is that you're less of a man. Because you shouldn't go through those kind of things. You're less of a man. It puts everything that you do into question, that you can't take care of your family. You can't provide for your community. Being kicked in the jewels. It's literally like being kicked in the jewels. That's much more easier than just telling us that.
So, one thing that I always think, why is depression? Like, is it real or is it an illusion?
That's a good question there. The thing is, a lot of people had their own views on it, but it is actually real. And the reason why it's depression, the thing is, what I need to make clear, one of the common things that people say, a lot of people say, is depression is the same as sadness. It's two very different things. Sadness is just a state of where you are at the moment, right? Something actually happened. It's like living in a country that you're not allowed to leave.
Right.
So let me put it this way. It's like, think of it like you're trapped in a room, but there's no way out at all. And you're trying your very best to get out. It's like that perpetual darkness that you feel. And you're having this, you can't seem to breathe. You can't seem to see where you're going. In fact, this whole numbness of emotion. Now, some folks say that depression is a lack of expression, which is true. You're not able to express yourself, so you're just trapped in this perpetual hole. It's very difficult to explain, especially if let's just say someone's never gone through it. It's an all-encompassing brain disease at times.
Is it real? Is depression real? Because the way I think of it, now it's just my perspective, I'm not saying it's fact, everyone has their own ways of kind of dealing with life, right? I think when people go through depression or something like that, is it because they just don't have enough to do in life and they're just bored?
That could be it. For some, you see, it's important to distinguish the difference between what's depression and what's just general life issues, right? And that's where it comes down to.
And people kind of label it as depression.
Yeah.
No, you need to go out, meet people, make friends, get a circle, do something with your life, work, start some kind of a business, do some gardening or something. Just help yourself.
Yeah, and I do believe in that as well. The thing is, and this is something I've come to realize, like all my years of raising awareness, this is something I've realized, that we're labeling everything as depression. Now, I know what depression is. I've seen it happen. But we are labeling everything as depression. And some issues can actually be resolved by doing something to help yourself.
Yeah.
And I do believe there are many issues that you can do to help yourself. Someone gave me a great advice. Like, before you claim they have depression, make sure you're not surrounded by the wrong people.
Yeah.
Right? And I thought, okay, that's a good advice. So when I removed myself from the wrong people, I got a little bit better. Right?
And who were those people? People who were telling you that you are depressed, or?
No, people who never accepted anything that was coming out of my mouth. More like they weren't really hearing me. Like if I was going through something, they want to hear it. It's more like they want to cut me off and just hear their own voice. I didn't really feel heard in those circles. So when I removed myself from that circle and put myself with people who were actually moving forward with their life, who cared about growth and expression, it helped me to pursue that same agenda, to pursue that same goal in life. Now, depression itself, it could be tied to someone's unmanaged traumas or even a mental illness as well. There are a lot of variables, a lot of layers as well, but it is important to distinguish first what's actually causing you to feel the way you're feeling, and that requires a lot of self-reflection. Because I personally believe that before you put yourself in a box, go through a list and see what might be the issue that's going on in your life. Before we say, oh, I've got depression. Okay, why do you have depression? Why do you feel you have depression? That's the kind of conversation I'm having these days with some folks now. Because the only way forward is actually facing ourselves in a real, authentic light.
Do you reckon a lot of people don't want to hear the reality and they just want to be nurtured? Oh, it's going to be okay. Oh, don't worry about it. Oh, this, or that, being this whole thing that, oh, I need care.
I mean, yeah.
Or is it better to be very brutally honest with the other person? Say, look, this is what you're going through. You might be going through X, Y, and Z, but you need to pick yourself up, do this, and move forward, because the world does not care. That's the bottom line. You have all of these support systems, authorities, and and all of these people that say that we care about mental health and everything, but from 9 to 5, after 5 o'clock they've gone home, right? And you're left there. So technically you've got the 24 hours to help yourself. Now, I always believe that if you are brutally honest with the other person, regardless if they like it or not, it's going to help them a lot more than me telling them, why don't you go and see a therapist? Because the therapist, what exactly is the therapist going to do? It's just going to tell you that you're depressed, which you don't want to hear, because you're in a dark place.
Yeah, and when it comes to therapists, there are actually bad therapists out there. But if you find a decent therapist will pretty much tell you how to help yourself. These are those ones I've come across. The therapists I used to see, I still see, we have like conversations, like back and forth conversation. We trying to help each other out. And my therapist never tells me things that he knows won't help. It's more like helps me discover what I want to do, how I can help myself. And you're right. There are times it's important to be brutally honest in certain situations. And for some folks, I found that you just need to be more approach with more care with certain folks, and more like build up to it slowly. You slowly, gradually build up to it. Like it's like personal training, right? You start small and you build up. You see their progress. It's like, yeah, you're ready for the big weights now. That's how I see it as. But yeah, you're right. That's what I've realized about myself. I've come to a point where it's important to face the reality of our situation, because the way I see it, yeah, no one's coming to save you.
No one cares.
It doesn't mean and I think that doesn't mean that no one's willing to help you along the way. It just means when it comes to taking the first step and getting to whatever you want to get to, you gotta be the one to help yourself.
Exactly, because no one's going to pick you up. No one's going to pick you up. Let's be honest.
That's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen. You're just going to sit there and sit there and sit there for the rest of your life if that's how you're going to think.
Yeah, that's it.
The first step and till the last step, you gotta walk yourself. Along the line, along the way, you will have people come and guide you, that's what people do. Talking to people.
Yeah, of course.
But you have to keep going yourself.
You got to be the first.
Because, like I said, after 9 to 5, people go home.
Yeah.
You're left there yourself. And that's the time. It's like going to the gym, right? Your PT is there for 1 hour. What you do after that hour for 23 hours,
it's all on you.
It's your headache. If you're not gaining, if you're not seeing results, what are you doing outside of that gym? That is the problem. It's the same thing. You can go and see a therapist for 2 hours in the day, but what you are doing about yourself for 22 hours of the day, only you can help yourself.
No, that's true. And it comes down to like some people, they do need a therapist. Some people, and I agree with that, some people do. Therefore, you go make the effort to go see that therapist and find out what's going on. It's important to find the right therapist because, let's be honest, there are rubbish therapists out there. So you got to do your own due diligence, your own homework. But there are good ones out there. But yeah, I agree with that because for the last several years, that's the reason why I got into marathon and ultra running event later on. Because from my own situation, I realized that when it came to facing my own demons, depression, the ideation even as well over the years, I realized that I didn't really want to live like that. It's like, when was it now? Back in 2015, actually, I started doing the cycling tour from London to Paris as a big event thing. I thought, why not? I did that in memory of my mentor who passed away. I thought, I'll do it in that old guy's memory. So raise some money for Nepal at the time because I think they had an earthquake at the time as well. So from London to Paris, it was great. I enjoyed myself. It was difficult because I've not cycled for a great long time,
And then you've decided to go to Paris on a bike.
Yeah, why not?
Just going down the road.
Yeah, why not? It was like going to the corner shop.
Of course it was.
Almost got hit by a car. French drivers, right? Yeah. Terrible. But no, it was great. I met a lot of folks and I realized I enjoyed myself. As soon as I got to Paris, I realized I felt a little bit down.
It's come to an end.
Because it came to an end. Because I thought I'd feel great when I crossed the finish line. I thought I'd get cured, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But when I got back home, I realized, nah. So during the whole year, I had to do a lot of reflecting. Then it came to 2016, the first run, which was a 10K run. Now I signed up like 2 weeks in advance, like a very late sign up. Because I thought to myself, you know what, I'm gonna give it a go. I never ran really in my life. I was never really good at it. I was a terrible footballer, so why not give it a shot, right? 2 weeks prior, I had like this. I actually attempted to take my own life because I don't know, things just piled on, you know, things just happened and I just attempted. I didn't go through with it naturally. But
Obviously, we would have been sitting here.
Wouldn't be here right now, would I? But after that kind of broke me up a bit, and I even contemplated to drop out from the 10K run because I wasn't in any condition, you know, after that whole ordeal. But I thought, no. I mean, I thought to myself, no, just go for it. I mean, go for it. It's a Sunday, right? Got nothing to do. Might as well just go for it, even though I had no energy for it. I did the 10K run. Most difficult thing I've ever done, right? Even difficult in the whole cycling from London to Paris. What made it difficult was mentally I wasn't there.
Yeah.
Mentally I was drained.
Of course, what you went through just before that.
Yeah, but when I crossed that finish line, I felt a sense of pride, my first ever real victory, right? And then I signed up for another run, 10K, and another 10K, and on the same year I signed up for a half marathon. After the half marathon, I jumped to starting a full-on marathon on that same year, which is on November that came. Full-on marathon, I think it was a Birmingham Marathon. That's where it was. It was a Birmingham Marathon 2016. After that, I just started running marathons. But when I got to 2017, I did an ultra run, which is 100 kilometers. Now, this one was probably where it kind of cemented the deal. Because this is where I really realized what I want to do with my life. When I did the ultra run, 100 kilometers, it was freaking difficult. Of course it was difficult.
Of course it is.
Yeah. The whole running, the whole jogging, the whole treks from backyards throughout the night. Didn't sleep once. It was all throughout the night. And I had 20 miles left. I couldn't do it anymore.
20 miles?
I got 20 miles left.
Dude, I can't do that. Like, I get bored in a car when you've got journey and you've got 20 miles left. You think, oh, God, come on.
Oh, yeah, it's boring, man. Running is boring. It's so boring. It's the worst thing in the world.
What David Gargan doesn't think it is.
He hates it as well. He hates running as well.
Deep down, he hates it.
He hates it. No one actually likes running, right? It just... When I did the ultra run, when I wanted to give up, I called my mate up. I called my mate up because I told him, look, mate, I'm going to die. I just want you to know I never liked you, right? He said, but because when you're running in an ultra run, you're hallucinating, you're starving, you're thirsty, you're just, in the middle of the night, I thought I saw Casper the Friendly Ghost and he didn't look so friendly. And so I called my mate up and said, I can't do this anymore, man. I think I'm going to drop out. I got 20 miles left, but it's too much. And he said, Naz, look, you know this was going to kill you, mate. Do you remember a couple of years ago, we went into this farm, we saw this majestic looking horse, and you came out with something random. You said, would you eat that horse out of desperation if you were hungry? Because I said that to him. And he said, no, I wouldn't. And I said, okay, what does that have to do with anything? He said, this run is that horse. And now you're desperate. I want you to go and eat that horse. I said, yeah, I'm going to eat that horse. I'm going to go eat that horse. But that's when I had my realization.
Wow.
That's when I had my realization. After he told me, go eat that horse, because in that moment of desperation, you either eat that horse or you die.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
And you wanted to eat that horse.
I was going to eat that horse, and I ate that horse.
Fair play to you,
man. I ate that horse. But that's when I was hit with an amazing realization. I finally looked back. Throughout the whole run, I never actually looked back. Never took in my surroundings. I just was so pinpoint focused on getting to the finish line because I have to beat my demons. I have to beat my depression. Because when I was running, mate, all my demons, all the depression, ideation, all came back in full force. Ambushed me in a poorly made film. So we're going to get you. We're going to kill you. And my point focus was to get to the finish line. But when I finally looked back, I realized, holy damn, this is the first time I ever came this far. who does an ultra marathon just to go beat their demons?
That's huge, man.
And that gave me the strength. For some reason, I had this supernatural strength come out of nowhere. And I kept going to get to the finish line. About 50, I think it was about 53 people took part in that whole marathon. 57, only about 7 people crossed the line.
And you were one of them.
I was one of the 7. Because most people dropped out the next aid station because it was brutal.
Wow.
I actually literally crawled. I lost a shoe as well. I lost a shoe. It happens. I mean, I lost a shoe. Some guy lost a phone. But point is, from that moment, I realized, firstly, I'm not ready for an ultra marathon, but I'm going to train myself up. So I started running more runs, more marathons. I'm up to number 49 now. And then when I got to 2020, I think it was just after the pandemic, I started full-time running ultra marathons. I did about 22, 23 now.
What?
About 22, 23 ultra runs.
Oh, for God's sake.
But as a combination of all my other runs, like the marathons, 10Ks, half marathons, 49 altogether. And I started running ultra marathons because I realized the best way for me to learn discipline and to really train my mind and body in perfect equilibrium is to put myself through hell. All right? I've had a lot of folks come up to me saying, this is crazy, this is insane, you're going to kill yourself. Maybe.
I was just about to say that.
Maybe, but I do a lot of training in the background, which I never reveal, because I've got a strict training regimen. I do a lot of intermittent fasting while running 10 miles or 20 miles at times. I just fast.
Oh, yeah, that's all the baby stuff now.
Yes, baby stuff now. But
God.
maybe not now, because I think I'm not as fast as I used to be as I got older. Now, the point I'm trying to get at is one thing I realized that I didn't want to spend the rest of my life living in a perpetual fear. When's the storm gonna come? Am I gonna live in a time when my demons is finally gonna kill me off? Because when you have that ideation of suicidation, that's a subject a lot of people don't want to talk about. When you're in that mode, your brain tricks you into thinking that you want to die.
Yeah.
That you want to go kill yourself. I've attempted 5 times in my life.
Wow.
And every single time, I don't know, the first time is when I was 14 years old.
Okay, let me ask you this question. Share what life was like before your mental health. Right? And what were some of the experience that led to this struggle?
See, that's a hard one. Because I don't really remember a life before these mental health related issues came up. I must be about 8 or 9 years old when the problems started persisting. And as I got older, throughout high school, I got bullied a lot in school. I wasn't really well liked that much. I was a very different kind of kid, I thought differently, did my own thing. I wasn't really into sports, wasn't really into football or anything that kind of thing. I was more into reading books and just into nature, a lot of stuff. I was a very curious child. But the truth is, as far as I can remember, I was always a sad kid. I never really understood why I was always kind of sad. Because as far as I can remember, it's like I was pretending to be happy on a lot of occasions. It's like I was putting artificial emotions just so I can fit in.
You can be accepted.
So I can be accepted. Because the one thing I really want as a kid is to be accepted.
Like
to be
every
seen.
child,
Like every child. But I realized that being myself, I wasn't being accepted. Because people had their own purviews and expectation of what you should be like. Especially as a young boy, becoming a teenage boy. And teenagers are naturally angsty, right?
Yeah.
But for me, I wasn't really angsty. Like I was, I hate the world because I just do. I was more like, folks just didn't get me. And I was so tired of pretending just to be, I didn't really want to be something I didn't want to be. Especially when it comes to, and growing up in a Muslim family, jeez. Like I said, I was a very curious child. So I did not follow something unless I understand it myself, unless I chose to follow it myself. And Islam was always the most difficult one. Because you get told over and over, you have to do this, you have to do that, with a bamboo stick. And I rebelled against it. I said, no. I want to understand why. And when a child gets denied the why, that child's going to get angry. So I rebelled against the faith. I walked away from Islam for a long time. Right?
Really?
Yeah, I walked away from it, and my parents did not love that at all. Many times I tried to get them to the mosque and everything, but it's like, no, it's not. I don't want to go to the mosque. I don't want to listen to that imam who goes on about fitness since when he has a planet-sized gut. Everyone around me is a hypocrite. None of you practice what you actually preach, and you want me to pretend to be one of you. That was my issue. It wasn't actually the religion itself.
It was the approach.
It's the approach. It was introduced to me through violence. And me, I'm naturally against that. I'm opposed to it. I know instinctually I cannot respect violence. I just can't. Because, I was bullied as a kid. I'm not going to respect it.
Yeah.
So that was the approach. It was incorrect. And that vastly messed me up in the head a lot more. And as time went on, then how my journey really began actually happened with a woman. Believe it or not, it actually was a woman, which I never really imagined.
It usually is.
It usually is a woman, isn't it? It usually is. Like, I never really saw myself.
That was just a joke.
No, but
it's not always.
But sometimes. But this is, it wasn't a problem. It was more like a blessing, if anything. I met her in a time where I was already walking a dark path. Meaning I was walking a straight villain path. My mind was twisted now. I was seeping more into hatred and spite of everything around me, right? Yeah. So I was gradually becoming a straight villain. But then this woman comes along in my life. And I don't know, and I grew attached to her. I found her annoying at first, but I grew attached to her. It's like her faith in being better and belief in God drew me in like a moth to a flame. But here's the thing, she had bipolar. And she also had cancer. Yeah. I learned faith from her, if that makes sense. I learned it from her. She was all about religion, and she was the first to say, no, you introduced Islam through violence. I'm going to show you the hopeful way, the way it should have been taught. Yeah. And she did. It took time. She would send me text messages over and over of different verses. I would ignore them. But she knew eventually I would look at them. Yeah. And we were only 20 years old at the time, so it was about 14, 15 years ago we're talking about. Because I'm 34 now. I learned a lot about her, she learned a lot about me. And gradually we became more than friends. We actually had a genuine affection for one another. And I had the intention of marrying her. But we never got the chance to marry because unfortunately she died of cancer. Yeah, I was by her side till the end. I mean, I helped her with her bipolar and helped her through her cancer symptoms. And that was the first time I showed any kind of compassion and kindness because she taught me that.
Yeah, of course.
Taught me these things. But when she passed away, that was the first time I felt real grief. And during my teenage years, I pretty much blocked the whole depression and the whole ideation away, blocked all the negative feelings away. Because I found that when you walk a path of self-destruction, the depression doesn't affect you. Yeah. Because you're so distracted by hate, because that's what it wants it. Your brain's telling you, this is what it wants from you, to be self-destructive. But when she died, when I felt genuine kindness and compassion and wanted to be better for her and for myself, that's when I felt it all, man. The whole dam broke inside my head, and it led me to an addiction and to alcoholism.
So how did that affect you to your day-to-day lives and other future relationships then? Oh, like, you just said that, then you alcoholism and all of that stuff.
Oh, yeah. Everything was destroyed. Let's put it this way. So I couldn't really hold down a job. I mean, I got sacked more times I can count, right? I couldn't hold down a job. The addiction took over, essentially. And I didn't realize, when you're an addict, you don't know you're an addict. Or maybe deep down you don't want to admit it. Yeah. But that's how it is. And it's not even the addiction that's the problem. It's I became very pessimistic, very nihilistic approach to the world. Like I was slowly drowning myself. Like I was walking down a very dark path at that point. So my family relationship became a bit ruined. Family didn't really get what was going on with me. When they found out about the alcoholism, you can imagine how that worked out. But they did try to help me trying to get past it, but I wasn't really listening. Friendship forget about it. Didn't really have any friends. Just forget about that.
Wow.
The thing is that folks never really knew what was going on with me because they didn't really want to hear it, you know?
Yeah.
And so the addiction went on, and I had met like a drinking buddy one time, right? We were both in the pit of our lives. He unfortunately passed away because he got hit by a drunk driver. Ironically, when he got hit by a drunk driver, I kind of had a sudden realization.
A wake-up call.
Yeah, because that made me realize it wasn't because he died, he got hit by a drunk driver, that was a problem. I asked myself, what if I was that driver and I killed someone? It wasn't the thought of prison that scared me. It was the thought that my own cowardice cost the life of someone innocent that chilled my spine. That was actually one of the real moments I tried to help myself to get sober up. Went to those Alcoholics Anonymous. So if you want to know how those AA meetings go, that is exactly what you're thinking. Hi, my name is Nazim, and I'm an alcoholic. That's exactly what you're thinking, right? But when I only went for like maybe 1 or 2 sessions, and I hated, because I really quickly realized the people around me, they found misery in company. You know?
Yeah.
They want to be, start joking about, oh yeah, I drank myself one time and ended up in their school roof, making jokes, and I was like, whoa, hold on, we're here to help ourselves, right?
Yeah.
To get better, but you guys are just spending more time
Chatting nonsense.
I quickly realized I was not going to get better here in this kind of environment because the people around, it felt like they were only here because a court ordered them to be here or someone made them to be here. I don't feel like any of them were there by their own choice, which is a problem for me.
Yeah.
Because I was there by my own volition. Eventually, I left that and I had to help myself. I was an addict. I couldn't continue. So I spent 7 months, grueling months, went cold turkey. And that, let me tell you something. I always try to brush it off as it was an easy to difficult, hard difficulty. It was hellish. You know, you had those withdrawal symptoms. If anyone ever had withdrawal symptoms, you know what I'm talking about. The whole 7 months was cold turkey. I would go to Asda, the alcohol aisle, and just go past that aisle and just stagger over and over again. I'll go to a corner shop and just look at the alcohols, right? I was standing for 5 or 10 minutes to the point I'm beginning to suspect that maybe the owners probably thought I was stealing something. But even they got used to it. It's like, no, I got to try to beat his addiction eventually because I've been doing it for 7 months straight. When I finally got to that 7 months, I realized I actually beat the addiction because I found a secret stash that I forgot about. And I thought, okay, I'm going to throw this in the drain. My hands weren't shaking anymore. I was draining the alcohol away without any care in the world.
Wow.
So I beat the addiction, but the addiction was always going to be there, the temptation.
Yeah.
I've been sober for about 13 years now. Never had a single relapse. After that instant, things kind of a little bit went bad as well. I ended up being sectioned because, I don't know, I attempted again for some other various reason. It's hard to always talk about this because when I kind of look, because I'm sometimes mixing timelines sometimes because so much happened during those 15 years.
Yeah.
In my 20s, let's put in my 20s. Like, I can't believe it all happened. You know, when I look back, and it's also very difficult to talk about in this sense because folks always often see they kind of see the symptoms, but never the cause.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the problem we have. Like, I've seen a lot of folks in our community have massive addiction, and a lot of them stem from having some sort of underlying issues. But we just look at someone, an alcoholic or a drug addict, who's, oh, Harami should be ashamed. His parents should be ashamed.
Rather than what caused him to become.
What caused him? Like, rather than approach, so what happened? Can we do anything to help this person? I don't believe in community. I have faith that community should exist, but I don't believe in the community that we have right now. Because
that's what goes back when I said earlier that do people genuinely care?
Yeah.
Genuinely.
I don't
Would
think
they
so.
keep coming to you and say, look, let me help you, let me help you? They'll say once and then, oh, fine, leave him to him. He's like this and he's like that.
Yeah, and it's like that, you know. It's like being an angry little boy, right? Everyone cares that the boy is angry. They want to help that angry little boy. But eventually, folks stop caring about the angry little boy, because
He'll grow out of it.
He'll over it. But how do you help an angry little boy when he's angry in his bones, in his soul? Eventually, people don't want to help you anymore. Then you have to look in the mirror and practice a face, how to look, how to feel approachable, right? I can't tell you the amount of times I looked in the mirror and practiced smiling. Basically, it's like they call it the Batman thing, where you just have that Bruce Wayne and have that real face, which is the Batman.
Sounds
right?
a bit like Joker.
The Joker, right? He's the kind of guy that doesn't wear any parade. He's basically everyone that wants to be without the mask. But Batman understands the importance of wearing masks. And it is sometimes important to wear certain masks in the community because, let's be honest, like you said before, no one really cares. And I learned that lesson the hard way. I wish I had someone like me in the beginning. Like, I'll be as prideful as it sounds, but I wish I had someone like me, because maybe I wouldn't have to sacrifice so much of my soul, because I had to sacrifice a lot of my soul. The training, the ultra runnings, they were never easy, but they were there to build discipline, because I did not want to go out like a punk. I had a lot of pride in me, and a good kind of pride. And the strength was the only thing that mattered in this world. And I don't mean like be big and hunky. I'm on about strength in yourself, taking pride in yourself, being that integrity, that resilience is from putting in the work. You don't just wake up one day and say, I'm resilient now, I can take anything. No, that's not resilience. That's you being a performative activist.
Yeah.
Mental illness, there are folks like myself out there who have some sort of mental illnesses in their lives, right? Things that's just going to be there for the rest of our life. And that's just our cards that we've been dealt. But I've learned that we don't always get to choose the cards we've been dealt, but we can choose how to play our hand.
Absolutely.
So even if we keep getting one bust after the next, we'll just keep drawing until we get a blackjack. By law of statistics, we'll get a blackjack.
Mm-hmm. You know, at what point did you realize you needed help? And what were the first steps you took towards recovery? Because that's really important, because I think people don't know what they are going through, and they don't know when they actually need help.
I think
and how to kind of, what steps to take, what to do. That brings me to my next point, is what tools or resources or support systems helped you the most along your way? Was it the therapy? Was it talking to people? Was it the fitness? Was it the, having discipline? What was it? Was it collective? Was it, since I started doing marathons, that changed the game, really. What was it? Was it collective kind of different aspects in life?
It was different. I say it was different aspects of life for me anyway. The first time I got real help is when is like the realization of my action. When that death happened, my friend died, I realized, okay, I can't be that guy behind the wheel. So death was the first realization. It was different aspects from my life. So that was the addiction. So I put the steps in how to beat that, right? That was the easy one, funny enough.
What was the steps? Just summarize. What were the steps? So for example, someone's going through that same kind of cycle, addiction to alcohol, and they genuinely want to kind of step away from it. Just summarize. What did you think? Okay. Because how can you go cold turkey when, you're in so far?
The first thing is having that honest conversation with yourself. It's that inner belief, self-belief, right? And I would say that's the most important step. You gotta be real honest with yourself. You have to be honest with yourself that you have a problem. You know how they say the first step is realizing you have a problem? Well, that's the truth of it. You gotta be honest, like, this is an issue, and it's affecting not just your life, but everyone around you, right? And you really gotta be the first to take that, push yourself. Steps are different for everyone, but the same step is always the same. You have to believe. One thing I've learned after my mentor trained me, and the one thing I've learned is, like, you can pay a soldier to run up a hill. You can pay a soldier to take one for the team, but you can't pay a soldier to believe. Belief is instrumental when it comes to growth, into bettering yourself. You have to really believe, but you also have to accept that there are three paths. The one path is you're going to end up dying on this path prematurely.
Yeah.
The second path is you can stay where you are. The third path, there is no third path. You have to carve it for yourself. And that takes a lot of work and effort. Because maybe there'll be some folks can come, show you the steps, can guide you, give you some advice. But they can't hold the machete. You gotta cut through the bushes. So the steps are different for everyone, different aspects. For me personally, it's always been different aspects of my life. But the one thing that's always been constant is belief. You have to really believe this is what you want. And if you really want it, then you have to go and get it. And however that may look. That means if you need to go take therapy, then go take that therapy if that's the first step. If it means you have to go to the gym, go to the gym. Whatever that looks like to you, depending on your situation, if you have an addiction, then you need to go to a rehabilitation center then in that case, right? Context depends on the situation. But the first step is actually believing that you can be helped. Because our brain tricks us into thinking that we can't be helped, that we're a lost cause. The brain's the biggest deceiver. It's the biggest deceiver. If I listened to this brain of mine, I would have been dead about 14 years ago. I would have been dead 14 years ago.
That's crazy.
What keeps me alive is that pride inside me. And that pride was built through the belief in me. Yeah. People don't understand when I talk about pride, they think it's hubris, arrogance. No. That's arrogance. Arrogance means you can't deliver. Pride is you can deliver. There's good pride and bad pride. You're talking about hubris, right?
Yeah.
Pride in yourself, in your own abilities, in your own accomplishments, that pushes you further. It's like, I got through the last fight, I can get through this. But yeah, the first step is belief. And the realization that it's going to be very freaking difficult. Like you're gonna suffer a lot. You're going to burn a lot. And you might die a lot. But you can get through it if you keep pushing onwards.
I mean, of course you can, because you're a prime example. And, if you've been through all of that, you lost your loved ones, you lost a friend, you had another friend with, passed away with a car accident, and and you're still here.
The truth is, I've lost a lot of friends to suicide, more than 10 over the years.
Wow.
And folks have always asked me, why do I do this cause, the whole mental health cause, and raising awareness on what's going on in our community?
It's crazily important.
And it is happening in our community, believe it or not. Some people don't want to see it, but it's there. And because I'm in that life, I see it as clear as day. Mm-hmm. And that's why I continue doing for over 10 years. I mean, why would a guy do this for 10 years if there wasn't a reason behind it? Like, why? I could easily walk away from this cause, but the cost of turning a blind eye is way too high, and I've already paid that price.
Yeah. Too
many times. Crimson bathtubs. I've seen hanging bodies. These eyes, I've seen a lot of damage. And it's not just... And sometimes I was there. I saved the lives. I can take pride in knowing I saved a lot of lives. Sure, maybe I should speak more on that. I saved a lot of lives. But I always focus on the what lives I didn't save. That I got too late. Got the message too late. Picked up the call too late. Drove way too late. And I was met with death to the point it can desensitize you a little bit. But I always try to remember, no, I can't get desensitized. This always have to feel real. This is the reason why I keep pushing onwards. And one of the main reasons why I keep fighting. Because I need to keep fighting, because I need to give them justice. Though they may never have justice in this world, maybe one day when I see them again, I can actually say I gave all I had and more. And maybe I'm hoping for them to say, you did more.
Yeah.
I do this out of love, out of obligation, and out of a purpose as well. And it's why I'll continue fighting as long as, not just for my own personal growth, but for this cause itself, for this thankless cause that I am so incredibly frustrated by.
Yeah.
Why, dude, you can imagine I get a lot of mockery, a lot of laughter from a lot of folks. Like, oh, look at this crazy guy, the madman. This guy's running a marathon despite the fact he injured his leg. I did actually injure my leg at one point. I had a panic attack on one of my runs. Still continue running to the finish line. Pride. Surrender's an outcome.
The good pride.
The good pride. Surrender's an outcome far worse than defeat. I personally believe that. I'd rather collapse and gave all I had than just say, just had a panic attack. Ideally, I shouldn't have continued, but I'm not listening to my brain. You know, do you listen to your brain when it tells you you can't do any more reps?
No.
Nah, screw it. Exactly the same.
It's until you can't do it.
Until you can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
But that's what it is.
See what support systems are out there for people who are going through mental health. I mean, it's a very open and a wide question because mental health there's so many different things.
It depends anyway. It's like we have to distinguish the mental illness as well. Some people just have mental illnesses like schizophrenia or bipolar, and those are lifelong conditions like any sort of physical illness. Those are something that people will only, where there's lack of support for those areas. Unfortunately, there's lack of support when it comes to mental illnesses, right?
Wow, is it?
There is many, because you have NHS waiting time to see an NHS. A lot of these people actually need to be in the NHS. They need to be seen. Waiting time is ridiculous in this country. But when it comes to general mental health, there is support out there. Generally speaking, get therapy sessions on apps these days, right? For general mental health issues like bereavements, you lost your job, relationship breakdowns, things that can put you in a dark place.
But they're not exact. Well, yeah, I suppose.
Everyone
takes things differently, I suppose.
Personally, for me, those things can have a resolution. You lost your job, you find a new job.
Just get another one.
You lost your girlfriend,
get another one.
Get another one. This time, make sure you marry her this time. Make sure you marry her this time. But no, point is, general mental health issues, like, I'm just going to say that there's resolutions for it. And you know what's general mental health. But I'm on about the things I touch on are the suicidal ideation.
Oh, yeah,
the deeper stuff.
The darker stuff.
The darker stuff, the trauma-related issues. These things, there's no easy solution. And the support for that is so lackluster.
Wow.
It's lackluster, brother. It's like, it's terrible. It's one of the reasons why a lot of people don't touch it. Especially in the Muslim community, they don't actually touch it. Is
it because it's very expensive? Treatments, going to therapy sessions.
Private's probably your only option. It can be expensive because your only real option is private.
Yeah.
And it's expensive, man. People are different. People can't afford to pay this amount of money in this kind of increments.
Do you think, as a community, right? Generally, a Muslim community is very tight. When something happens or whatever, they're very they come together. Do you think that not many people come together to talk about these issues?
Yeah, no, I agree. They brush under the carpet.
Yeah, and if they did, people wouldn't have to pay so much money to a therapist. Like, for example, if there was a service in the mosque, right? Now, why I say a mosque is because that's, at the time of the Prophet,
it's a hub of community.
It was the hub of the community.
Yeah.
Everything happened there. All the discussions, the meetings, everything happened in the mosque. So having, a therapy session once a week, and people could come there for free of charge, after a prayer time, sit down, talk about their problems. Wouldn't that help a larger number of people rather than just killing themselves because, number one, they can't afford to wait. Number two, they can't afford to pay for a private therapy. And number five, they're just too scared to talk about these problems.
Yeah, a lot of these are real. Yeah, I agree with that. And that's an argument I made quite a long time ago. The mosque should be a hub of community where it's not just a place of prayer.
Yeah.
It's a place where people come together and talk and find peace amongst each other, without any judgment.
Yeah.
If there was something like that in a community, maybe there is some mosque out there, random mosque out there probably has that. Right? Who knows, right? But I'm saying, if every mosque, the big ones anyway, the ones that can actually have the space for it.
Yeah.
If they had that could actually break the stigma a little bit. That means people won't be afraid to talk about their issues. And therefore, they can reveal, I got this issue. And then you can actually help that person to receive further support if they actually need more professional support care. Yeah. It's a way of actually finding the issue there and then.
Mm-hmm. Because once someone's hung themselves or have gone through or passed away or whatever, what good does that bring? What
bring any good.
does that bring to the community, to that person's family?
A lot
Whereas, whereas if somebody went to the mosque, got help, and made a positive change.
That, you know what? People who do that, go through that change, benefit the community and a great deal.
Yeah.
Because people who went through hell and back, you face death in the eye, it changes you. It changes you forever, but it can change you in the best way possible. That's the best way. That's the best solution. By not acknowledging the situation, we weaken our community. We weaken our iman as well. I'm going to be straight. It does weaken our faith a lot because we're denying the most natural human parts of ourselves, which is our emotions. Emotions are so entwined, entangled. That's the best parts of us. If the Muslim community actually embrace that idea fully, but this was a thing many centuries ago. This is already a thing. The Muslims at the time wrote the book on mental illnesses. The first institution was in Baghdad.
Yeah.
Right? They acknowledged that the mental illness had nothing to do with lack of faith or any demon possession. No, it was just basically an illness of the mind, like you would have an illness of the body. And you need to be treated with care and love, with different scenarios, how to treat these people, right? And that was it. And that was great. And it was working. Over time, culture ingrained itself and twisted the message. Now you have media, Hollywood or Bollywood. Someone goes crazy, someone shows any sort of depression, or someone who goes for any sort of hysterical, because people can go hysterical for any various reason, right? You put them in a mental asylum, chain them or shackled up. That corrupted a lot of people's head. Because I remember being a kid, I remember seeing it, I didn't understand it. But as I got older, I realized, well, no wonder you think people are crazy. Because you got influenced by these ridiculous portrayals of mental health issues and mental illnesses. It corrupts people's heads a lot, and people become what they see oftentimes.
Definitely.
Too much of it, you become that. But yeah, to cut it short, our community does brush these things under the carpet, and these things have been fine for a long time. A long time. I've been trying to even speak that in my local mosque, to a certain mosque at one point, right? Like, a few years ago, I got kicked out so many times because I kept bringing it up. But when I started getting on the stand and talking about these issues, you can see there are people in the crowd who were interested in what I had to say. That's when I realized there are people who want to talk about it. I still got kicked out. But
the point is that there are people who need this support, who need this help, and I think our mosques really need to up their game in a lot of sectors in today's problems and issues. I think they're not doing enough for the communities. It's just like you come, you pray, they lock up, and you go home. That's not the point.
A lot of it's performative activism.
Yeah.
A lot of it is, I even called people out on it. It's like, you're just doing it on... It's like when you shove a camera in someone's face.
Yeah.
They'll appear to be the most pious, most peaceful, loving person. Take the camera away. Who are they in reality? Do you actually care about the issues? Do you actually care about what's going on? Or is it just a game to... Because it's not a game to me. And I'll be honest, that incredibly frustrates me a lot. But no, you're absolutely right. They do need to up their game. They do need to up their game. It's going to become even worse as time goes on.
Yeah.
Because it is going to get worse. It's like, people have kids now, guarantee one of them is going to have some issues as they get older.
Yeah.
Guarantee it. It's going to happen because it's become more prevalent. And by the time, and this is the issue with the Muslims I found in general. This might be a little controversial, but the only time Muslims ever do anything is when it's already too late.
Yeah.
That's true. When it's already too late. There were signs to do something now in the beginning. We could have stopped it. We could have stopped it there and then. That could be domestic or internationally, however you want to see it. But we only ever do anything when there's no point of doing anything because it's too late. And this is my issue if we keep ignoring the rates in our community, and there is a lot of rates. People don't admit it, but people lie about their loved one taking their own life. Yeah. They chuck it up to you. They die of a heart attack.
Oh yeah. That's
how many people die of a heart attack? No, I don't think it's that many.
Yeah.
But apparently, yeah, that person was quite young. They're quite in shape as well. All right. But people don't know. But people who do know, they know. it's a fight I've been doing for a long time, brother. It's like,
It's a very good fight, and it will come. It will come. You know, success will come.
I do believe in that. That's why I keep doing it, because I know eventually it will happen.
Yeah.
I gotta do the hard part.
I think there is a bit of a change coming, but again, this is over decades of mindset that our community has, and it's not going to be very easy, and it's going to change overnight. This is going to take a lot of people talking about it, normalizing that this is okay, in terms of it's okay to talk about mental health, or if someone's going through a problem, regardless if he's 40 years old or 50 years old, he's got 6 kids, 7 kids, or 2 kids, or if he's a 25-year-old
Doesn't matter.
guy.
Age is
It does not
unimportant.
matter. What matters is you have addressed it as soon as you've started seeing symptoms, you know, and it could save a lot of lives.
A lot of lives, when I look back on all the people I lost to suicide, a lot of their lives could be saved. A lot of their lives could be saved. And a lot of them were very religious as well.
Yeah.
So this is one thing that also frustrates me a lot. When they chuck these issues off as lack of faith, lack of iman, whatever they want to call it. No, a lot of these people had a strong amount of faith. What killed them wasn't because of that. What killed them was because of you. You keep ignoring their issues. They need actual support. It's like people who have cancer, you don't blame them for having cancer, right? You don't. But yet we blame folks who have mental illnesses or any sort of related issues that's not their fault. We look at them as if they got 2 heads. It's like, which one's the real one? You know, hide the knives.
It's tough.
It's tough because
I could tell it really frustrates you. I could just read, you know, your body language and the way you're just trying to express yourself.
I'm trying to hold back tears. That's what I'm doing, because I'm thinking about the past. And
It's okay to cry here, brother.
No, it's good. The thing is, though, it's not. I'm not ashamed.
I won't think of anything.
No, I'm not afraid of crying. It's just, I look back. A lot of those guys could have been saved.
Yeah.
A lot of them.
Yeah.
And I blame, and I have nothing. I won't lie. I do have an immense hatred to this community. I do have some hatred towards the Muslim community, even though I am one. I just don't like the people very much, because you keep denying it over and over, and you only want to do something. Oh, we did not know. Yes, you did know. I've been doing it for over 10 years. 10 years. In every shape. Hell, the whole reason I ran marathons and ultras was to raise awareness about depression and suicidal ideation. That, firstly, it's real, and secondly, it can be beaten. It can be managed.
See, it's about managing it.
That's it.
There's certain things in life you just cannot beat. They're in there, they're staying in there, and it's going to stay
That's
there.
it.
Right? But it's how you manage your demons.
Yeah, and I had to learn that. That's like, we can't.
You learned it the
manage
hard way.
Yeah.
And now you want to make it easier for other people how to manage it.
Yeah.
So, in fact, you're doing a favor for a lot of people.
Yeah, that's all I'm doing. If I didn't really care, I wouldn't be doing this for 10 years. I'd just go out and get rich.
Yeah.
Just focus on get rich or something. I don't know. Put all my time in that. But the point is, right? Maybe I should do that, actually. Maybe I should do that.
Yeah, just do it.
Yeah.
You know, I don't. Yeah, just
Maybe I
do
should do
that.
it. But the thing is, point is, I don't want to leave this world
Knowing that you could have done.
knowing I could have done more, because I read a story one time that Allah punishes someone the most who could have actually helped the community but chose not to.
Yeah.
And it's not about whether they listened or not. It's about that you actually attempted, and it's up to them whether they listened or not.
Yeah.
And that's
The guidance comes from him.
the guidance comes from Allah. Says, you just tell them if they listen. That's on them.
Yeah.
And that's all I've been doing. I just want to make it easy for folks, because I know how hard it is. And I don't want to put folks on that journey. It's hellish, man. I don't want you to go run ultramarathon just to learn discipline.
Yeah.
No,
I'm
there are
telling
better
you.
ways.
Exactly.
Don't do that. Don't be crazy like me. There's better ways.
Looking back, what do you feel were the most significant milestones of your recovery?
Oh, damn. The most significant milestone.
Stones. Could be more than one.
Honestly, I'm actually grateful that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed me with certain people that came in my life in certain amount of time, in that particular amount, even though they didn't last long in this life.
Like that woman.
My late fiance, because technically I did ask her to marry, she accepted, was her. She was the first. She showed me kindness and compassion. Then my mentor, who was a taskmaster, this man was a manly kind of man. He taught me how to see the world and how to fight, how to train my mind and body, take on task. Those people, and also my journey itself, the runs, the training, it all meant something. Because when I look back, I ran 49 runs in the last 8 years. In 8 years, right? That's my milestones, all my milestones. They're all my milestones. They're all each a victory. All the lives I saved. And that's a crazy one, actually. I never mentioned that. My therapist actually mentioned that to me. He asked me if I didn't exist, if any of my attempts were successful, what were the people that you saved? And I said, well, none of them would be alive. Oh, damn. None of them would have got married.
That was my question. You know, that was my next question.
That's on your next question.
Imagine, like, you were here. You went through this for a reason, right? God chose you, that this guy is going to go through this to help. It's like God saying, okay, I'll help him to sort himself out, but he has to go through this test for these people. If this guy is not going to do this, these guys are going to lose their lives. But I'll help this guy go through all his problems.
Yeah, because that's the mind-blowing one. I never thought about that. And my therapist brought that up, and now you brought that up, because the question is, if my first attempt was successful when I was 14, well, everything I've done would be non-existent.
Yeah, we want to be sitting here. And now that I'm sitting here, putting your message out to the wider world, hopefully anyway.
Inshallah. Anyway, I wouldn't exist. And then what's even crazier, like what I just mentioned a few seconds ago, the people I did save, that I did help, they'd be dead. Yeah. And meaning that a lot of them got married, by the way. They would not get married. A lot of them have kids. They wouldn't have kids. So when I think about it, oh damn, I brought a lot of happy people together. A lot of kids would not be born. And it's like, that's crazy when you think about it, right?
Yeah. If God's put you in that place to help these people.
That kid's born because of me. Does that mean I'm its daddy?
Not literally, but...
Am I that kid's dad?
No, you're not.
I don't want to be a dad. No, but I like to add a little joke from time to time. But
you know, it's nice to lighten the conversation, because sometimes when it gets a bit too deep, you need to pull yourself back out and think, okay.
Yeah, I love humor, man. Humor is one of my... I love comedy. I like to add a little humor to my personality. Yeah. But no, it's true though. It's like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's like it does everything for a reason.
Absolutely.
It's like a tapestry. So Allah sees, it's like our life is like a tapestry, right? And we only see the muddy colors and the raggedy lines, but we don't see the full tapestry as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does. He sees the full story. We only see
the bit of it.
The rubbish, basically. We only see the little bit. But we don't see the
exam itself is rubbish, isn't it?
Yeah, it's rubbish.
It's once you've passed that exam and you see a better life after that exam, you think, okay, now I understand. Yeah. So now that's what comes to, you know, we don't see the full picture. We don't see and you know what's funny you say that is because I came up with a thought last night. I was contemplating, and I usually, when I have these thoughts and things that come up in my mind, I kind of jot them down. And that's exactly one thing I wrote down last night, and I wasn't expecting it to say out now because I've got loads of them here. And one thought that came to my mind was, if your life is not going as planned, don't worry about it. You're not the best of planners. He who is the Almighty has a plan. You don't even know what's around the corner, let alone to plan a life. Just trust the process and believe in him. That just came about 12 o'clock at night. I was just thinking about it.
Midnight hour, yeah.
Wow. All right, fair enough. You know, and now this has fit in perfectly. Who
Yeah.
knew? You know, when was the last time I was even had a thought? Stuff like that.
And this is where it becomes a little bit more.
That's gonna be. Hopefully that becomes a nice short.
Yeah. Yeah, no. And this is the great part as well. Like I mentioned, I walked away from Islam. But gradually, I've only went back to Islam about 6 years ago.
Wow.
Because I had to go through the whole journey, you know, the whole journey. But during the whole marathon ultra runnings, I didn't want any help from Allah. Didn't want anything to do with Allah.
Okay, let me ask you this question.
I didn't want anything to do with it at the time.
Let me ask you this question because I've got a couple of questions left, but
Go on.
it's a very interesting one, right? Because usually, you know, I've never had anyone who's kind of gone out of the belief and has come back into the belief,
Yeah.
right? Now, we're born as Muslims, we're taught one way and we believe in that 110% and then we kind of move forward. How was life when you rebelled against the idea of how you was taught, not the faith itself, but you went away from it? What was life at that point? How was life at that point? And now, how is life now when you're back into it and you think, okay, those years, I don't know what I was thinking. And now, yes, there is a Lord, there is, you know, everything what it was supposed to be like. It actually is. It just wasn't, obviously, like I said before, taught to you properly.
So my answer is going to be a little bit different to various other people. I've actually never stopped believing in God. I've actually knew that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala existed.
Yeah.
I just didn't care because where my mind was at the time, I didn't actually care because I just didn't want to. I felt like God was probably a kid with an ant farm. That's what and that praying was a form of slavery, whatever it was, right? But I never actually stopped believing. That's the funny thing. I just didn't care. But during those years, I feel like I was actually meant to leave because here's the funny thing. I think when people, you stay in something and try in one way, you become like your predecessors. You follow the same thought process, the same thought, memories and everything. You're a carbon copy of the old. There's nothing different about you. So when I was out of it, I think I must have been out of it like during that time anyway, about 15 years I was out of it, right?
Wow, that's a long time.
Long time. I started when I was a kid when I walked away from it. So about 14, 15 years, right? Which is funny, it's been 14, 15 years since then, so it's kind of, jeez, I'm getting old. Life was essentially the same. It was all this hellish. I was still going for the trials and everything. But here's the crazy part. When I look back, Allah was actually with me all the way through, even when I didn't believe. Because I actually believed I was supposed to be out of it. Because a lot of the things I learned, the life lessons, the perspective, learning faith in a different way from my late fiance, was all a joke. From my mentor, who was also a Muslim, taught me Islam the same exact way. He said it needs to be accepted by you willingly. Okay? And when you go back to it, you do so wholeheartedly. All right? I was still in that journey. So when you talk about what was life like, it was pretty much relatively the same. The only difference is I've accepted Islam wholeheartedly now. And now my path is a little more clearer because all the experiences, the trials during that time, it had to happen. It had to
understand.
For me to understand, because if I didn't go through that, all the lives I saved, that happened when I was outside of Islam. All happened, right? But because I still believed in some shape or form, and Allah never really abandons someone.
No.
He never truly abandons someone. So
look, he still feeds the atheists.
Yeah.
You know, the way I look at it, look, he's so loving.
Yeah.
Because what would you do if somebody, for example, didn't believe that you are a good person, right? Ever, right? You wouldn't talk to them.
No, not really.
You'd be like, fine.
Just walk away, really.
Walk away, whatever. But look at it this way. When someone doesn't believe in him, that he doesn't exist, he still breathes, he still eats, he still lives, he still has everything that a believer has. it just goes to show how loving that God is.
Yeah, it goes by there's an old adage, right? Old proverb. Just because you don't believe in the devil doesn't mean the devil doesn't exist. The devil wants you to believe that he doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Because if you don't believe in the devil, you're not gonna believe in God either. It goes two ways. But yeah, you're very right. I think some folks always try too hard to convince themselves of something. I never actually tried to convince myself that God didn't exist. I knew God existed. I just didn't care. So I'm not sure which one was worse when I think about it, right?
But the thing is, like it says, there was a reason why everything happens for a reason.
Yeah, and I believe that I was meant to walk away from Islam then because I think it's good that I did. Because if I stayed, I would just become a carbon copy. I would just end up hating it. And I felt like I had to do it because I felt like I had to do it.
It's because it just wasn't brought to you in a proper way.
In a proper, as it should have been brought. Because even prophets say you're supposed to bring in a loving and affectionate, because it is a loving, affectionate lifestyle.
Yeah.
But when I did all the trials, when I came back, how my life is now for like 5-6 years now, that I've returned back to the fold. Even though something I wonder, am I actually a revert? Technically?
No, you're not.
I'm not a revert?
No.
Am I?
No.
Because technically I was never really a Muslim when I think about it. Because I never really practiced.
True.
So am I technically a revert?
That's a question for a scholar.
Yeah.
To kind of answer that, because it's a tricky one, because you don't want to say something on camera and they'll be like, no, you can't say that. So it's best to, because
I mean, it doesn't matter in the day. I mean,
at the end of the day, because you still believed in him.
I just didn't. Yeah, that's true.
You just didn't practice it.
Yeah, that's true.
But yes, people say if you don't practice, the difference between a disbeliever and a believer is the salah, is the prayer. If you don't pray, technically you are out of the fold of Islam. Then you have to revert back into it, right? So that's thing.
What they say.
But like says, he's all forgiving. That's a journey between you and him, and now things are better and everyone is on their own path, and that's the main thing.
Yeah, I've learned a lot about Islam. And the funny thing is, this is a good story actually, this one. Is when I was sectioned for the first time, my mum gave me the copy of the Quran. I didn't want to read the Quran. She said, I mean, it's a transliteration as well, so I can just read that. She knew I wasn't going to read the Arabic one at all. She said, I'm going to read the Quran. You're not going to do much in there anyway. You might as well get some reading done at night time, right? I didn't read it, right? But then there's a Jewish man, right? Who was also he was a teacher who was also in that section as well for other various life issues, right? Mm-hmm. We had a conversation, but we always played chess. We would always play chess with each other, right?
You play chess?
Yeah, I used to play chess a lot, right? So I used to play chess with him all the time, right? And one day he was playing chess in my room. He noticed the copy of the Quran that was gathering dust gradually, right? And he said, "How come you've not touched the Quran?" I said, "I don't know, didn't want to." I said, "I don't know."
Your turn.
Yeah, your turn, right? And he said, "Okay, here's a deal I'm going to make with you." I said, "Okay, go on then, Aaron. What's the deal?" Aaron, his name is Aaron, right? The deal I'm going to make with you is if I win, you have to read one passage of the Quran and you have to read it back to me the next day. And I said, "Okay, challenge accepted." The reason why, because I always beat him. He beat me. I don't know how he beat me. He just beat me, right? So by deal, you had to read the passage. I can't quite remember what the passage was because that long ago. But I read the passage to him, and then it was a thing with us. He beat me again. I had to read another passage. He beat me again. I had to read another passage over and over. And this was a Jewish man who was telling me that. He was telling me, I asked him, why is it always the passage? You keep wanting me to read the passage of the Quran. I mean, you're Jewish, man. You're all about Judaism. He said, faith is very important regardless of the religion you follow. It's important that a man believes in something bigger than himself. It's like a guiding light. Mm-hmm. You hold on to that guiding light. It's an anchor, right? I know you still believe. The more you read, the more you'll come to understand as time goes on. So he was trying to help me to get to that place, to have that anchor in my life. No one ever did that. This Jewish guy was the one who taught me approach Islam in a loving way. While other folks never really just taught me, we're more using scare tactics. You're going to go hell, fire and brimstone. I'm like, what if hell was cold? That'd probably be worse.
There is a part of hell which is extremely cold as well.
But no, faith has become very important to me, to the point I've learned a lot about Islam and its prophets. And I realized that actually made me even angrier when I just studied Islam, like fully submerged, to the point I know a lot more than the people claim they do. That frustrated me a lot more angry, because everything I've said over the years, Islam supports it.
Yeah.
Can you imagine the anger that I felt that all these years I've been called a madman, a psychopath, labeled all these names, an apostle, whatever they want to call me, right? An apostate. All this time, everything I was saying was confirmed in Islam. It was basically, a lot of it was common sense.
It is.
You can understand my anger towards the community became even worse. Even more, to the point I don't want to even know any of you guys. Islam is separate from Muslims. You're just a bunch of people who just believe in what you want to believe in because it fits your agenda. I'm going to go follow the right way and be on the path of God, than be on the path of people. So it's...
Wow. See, that's what they say. If you want to know what Islam is, don't look at Muslims in today's age.
Don't look at them. Just forget about them. Just ignore them completely.
Because we're not perfect.
No, they're humans.
You know, we're humans. We make mistakes. We don't pray 5 times a day. A lot of us. We don't read the Quran. A lot of us. And so, why would you want to take us as a representatives of a faith? You read the faith. You read the book. That's never been changed.
Yeah,
right. You follow the Prophet's saying. They're never been changed.
Go to the original source.
Yeah. So. It's just crazy. But, you know, how has overcoming these challenges shaped you, who you are today? Because you've gone through a lot, dude.
That's a good question. It's like a constant changing. I now know who I am as a person. I had to walk the path of a warrior, right?
Yeah.
I hate the path. It's no fun being a warrior, dude. It sounds cool in movies and stories, but it's a lonely path. I'm a warrior. That's a straight. I have to openly admit that I for the first time in my life, I'm actually saying it proud. I am a warrior, and I have to be.
Yep.
It's given me pride, integrity in myself, and honestly, I'm proud of the man that I've become, despite it all, because my life could have either ended in very differently. Either I would have been be dead prematurely, become the straight up villain, like I would have become a politician probably and robbed all of you, right? The community is very easy to manipulate when you think about it, right? They just believe anything. Yeah. Brown face, preacher of Islam, easy. Become a politician. Easy, man. It's like people are impressionable, especially the ones who don't want to face the truth.
Yeah.
But I didn't go for any of that. I went through the hard work, the grind. I didn't want to, because the thing about suicidal ideation, it's always in my head. It comes down from time to time, right? It's like, it's a task that I was given, my own trials. And Allah knows that the only way I'm going to stay righteous is through trials. Yeah. That's the only way I'm going to stay righteous. Well, I don't think I'm righteous.
This is the way I look at it. If the best of human being, our Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, was the most tested human being ever.
Yeah.
And he was the most loved.
Yeah, that's true.
The most loved and the most tested through his life. Right? And we're no ones. We're nobodies.
Yeah, exactly.
So when we are going through a test, we just got to stay firm.
We have to stay firm. And you have to ask yourself that. The thing is, I don't know what's beyond this horizon. I don't know. Maybe it's hope, or maybe it's just another hell. Fact is, I don't know which until as long as I keep moving forward to find out which it is. Hell or hope. We have to keep moving forward to find out which.
Obviously, we are hoping for hope.
We're always hoping for hope, but we gotta keep pushing forward.
Yeah.
And because I believe in that, and I also have to believe that this is also the pride side to me as well. I can't start fighting until I gave all I had and more. I don't know what it is. It's just how I am as a person. I have to give all I had before I can call it quits.
Yeah.
And if I can't give any more, then my body will give up on its own, and I will accept that. I'll be content with that. But not when I still have something in the can.
Yeah.
But We gotta keep fine. That's just how it is.
What are your future hopes for the future? Sorry. What are your hopes for the future when it comes to your mental health and well-being? And for those who are facing mental health struggles, what advice or words of encouragement would you share?
So, my hope for my well-being is just continue what I'm doing and push into a different avenue. I'm going to run my 50th run, just get that over and done with. I can't leave at 49.
Then go on a holiday.
Maybe, maybe.
You're not going to see me guys for a while.
Maybe, yeah. I might just finish my 50th run up, but I made a decision to take this cause further.
Yeah.
Because I'm sick and tired of just waiting for people to actually make the decision. No, I'm going to war. I'm going to use all my experience and trials I've learned, because other people need help with that. They need to hear the message. So I'm going to take the cause and build something out of it. Plant a seed.
Yeah.
In my own, and regarding my own well-being, I'll just continue what I'm doing. Because at the end of the day, I might stop running. I might move into something else to help my management, right? There might be something new might come along. Who knows? I might decide to run another 50 runs, reach 100, right? I don't know. But I'll manage what I'm doing right now. The advice I give to some folks: if you're facing against if you're having suicide ideations, impulse to go take your own life that you think, I want you to hold on tight to it. Hold it tight until it burns. So if you want to jump, if you're going to jump, do not hesitate. But if you do hesitate, then hold on to it. Hold it tight until it burns. Because sometimes we think we want to jump, but we don't. But really, we just want to save ourselves. And we think jumping will save us. No. The thing is, I can never tell someone that whether life will get better for them, because I don't know that. I'm not going to lie to people and say I said life might get better if you fight for it, if you give it all you have, if you really push forward. They might get better, but we don't know until you actually gave it all you have. So you hold on tight to it until it burns. And you keep pushing forward, because that's what I've been doing. You know, if you need a light to get a light, just to see if actually, okay, I don't want to do it, but I wouldn't recommend doing that. I should just keep pushing forward and understand that it's going to be difficult. The path of growth will be very difficult. It will be hellish at times. Sometimes you might not even see a fire exit. But the only way through is to the end.
Just crack on with it.
And if you're going to die, then don't surrender. Die with some pride that you gave all you had and more. Because honestly, that's the biggest victory we can ask ourselves, is that we gave all we had. Sure, we lost, but you know what? I take defeat over surrender.
100%.
I take that. Give me death. I would accept that. You can look me in the eye and see how much I actually mean that. Nah, don't surrender. I'm sure you can do more than that.
Definitely.
Yeah, man.
You know, my last question, briefly. How does it affect you? How does it affect your mental health, right? With what is happening around the world at the moment, with this whole genocide and
Palestine and all that, yeah?
Yeah.
Now it's Lebanon as well.
Yeah, now it's Lebanon. How does that affect somebody who's so passionate about helping people, and everyone is, but you've saved lives. I've never saved a life. I don't know if I have or not. I don't know. But you've saved lives. You've helped people save lives. And then when you see children, women, men, absolutely helpless, just getting blown apart, how does that make you feel? And how does that affect your mental health?
So this is where I reveal it, the truth and all that, right? I don't talk that much about Palestine in a lot of my contents, and there was a reason behind that. Like I do from time to time.
I mean, it doesn't have to be Palestine, just generally, yeah.
In general, it breaks my heart. Like, it breaks my heart a lot because ultimately there's nothing I can do for them. Not really, anyway. Nothing practical. And that breaks my heart a lot. But I also have to be firm with myself. Like, all I can give them is my prayers. And I hate that because I'm also about the practical as well. Get my hands on. But nothing I do will actually matter. And that's why I hate the most. Because I actually would want to help. I would literally just go and actually help. Even if I would get blown up probably. I actually want to go and help. And not being able to help, that kind of frustrates me a lot. I never talk about it a lot because it actually breaks my heart because for someone who understands what that kind of the impact it can do to you, losing loved ones, burying them as well. Even though I've seen children die, it's like it's not what you think it is. It's not something that you just feel grief like someone passes away and just make peace. No, you don't. That never goes away. That's gonna stay with you for life. You're gonna see it everywhere. In your dreams, when you're awake. And I get what those people are seeing. You think from our point, we come, they're so strong, so resilient. Nah, mate, they're broken. They are broken. But they have to be strong because they have no other option but to be strong. But they're broken. Because what they're doing is what a lot of us do. They're fighting. Because they want to go out with pride.
Yeah.
This is their home. They want to go, and I understand that, but believe me, I understand that. They want to go out with some pride in their hearts. We die fine. But we're not leaving.
Like you said, don't surrender.
Don't surrender. Defeat is better than surrender. Because those who come after you will be inspired by that and fight in your name after that.
100%.
So yeah, I understand it a lot. More than anyone that actually never faced that kind of situation in their whole life. It's why I have to be reaffirmed and ask myself, no, Allah, I have to leave it to Allah. I have to focus on what Allah's put me on and focus on this path. Because we all have our tasks and roles to play in this life. And unfortunately, Allah didn't give me the role to help them. My role is somewhere else.
To help who you can help.
Who I can help in this moment. Maybe one day, who knows, in the future, I might be able to do more. Who knows? But currently, I have to be realistic. Allah's placed me on this path. And I need to focus, give all my energy on this path. Just rather than become all political.
And on that note, I think it's been a hell of an episode.
Yeah?
You've been an absolute...
I appreciate it, man.
Great show. Amazing. I've learned a lot. And you know, you've inspired. And I hope, you know, the whole point of this episode is that it inspires people to talk about their problems and discuss it within their families, not necessarily communities if you don't, but at least talk to your families, you know, your partners and your children and whoever, you know, you are closest to.
Yeah.
Because ultimately you giving up will have an effect on not just yourself, because you're not there anymore, but the people that you leave behind. You know, that's just gonna be like absolutely crazy thing to leave behind.
Yeah.
And I think our people, in generally men, should talk about their health issues, mental health, whatever it is. And it just kind of, it goes a long way, you know, talking to people goes a long way.
It does. And one thing I do want to say is, like, some folks have always said, well, there are men who they didn't think about their kids when they take their life. The problem is when you hold on to that for so long, the despair takes over, corrupts your brain into thinking that your family will be better off without you. So when they do take their life, they're thinking they're giving their family a favor, but not. But by talking to them and actually assessing the situation, we can help them break free from that despair and realize, hold on, what was I thinking? It's possible. I've seen people come out of it, but because in that mode and no one actually helps them, they believe what their brain is telling them. So a lot of these people, they never actually, they think they're doing their family a favor. That's the dangerous part.
That's the scary part.
That's the scary part. They think they're doing good, but you gotta be there to help these people out to realize, no, you're not doing good.
Yeah.
And then when you help them, they come out and say, oh wow, thanks. What was I doing? I was about to make a stupid mistake.
Yeah.
I've seen people
unreversible mistake.
You might survive. Some people do survive, depending on the attempt. But they did a study really quick. It's a quick study. People who jumped off the bridge in America. There was this famous bridge that people jump off from. People who survived it, in the moment that they're falling, they instantly regret, because a fight and flight response kicks in, and they realize, oh, I'm regretting this now.
Wow. Can you imagine that?
The lucky ones who actually survived that and realized it.
Yeah. Wow. And on that note, Naz, thank you very much for your time, dude.
Appreciate it, man.
And I hope, like, the message, the core message of this goes out to not millions, not thousands, to that one person. And if that one person can make that change and stop with what he's doing and sorts himself out or herself out, that's
all I'm asking.
That's all it is. That one person, But again, all the best with everything that you're doing, and you're doing a great job. And
time will tell, right?
Dude, no, things like I says, things happen. They don't happen overnight. They take time. It's a mindset. This is decades and decades and decades of mindset of our people. And, it'll change one day. Maybe not in our lifetime, but like it says, planting that seed, and it'll change. It'll happen.
I have faith in that.
Yeah.
I have belief in that. Things will get better as time goes on.
Definitely. Thank you very much.
You're most welcome.
God bless you.
Thank you for inviting me.